All right, let's talk about why you are struggling to find consulting clients. In this video, I'm going to share with you 4 of the key considerations, things that you really need to take into account that could likely be holding you back from finding, from attracting, from being able to work with ideal consulting clients. So the first one is that you're not being specific enough about who your actual ideal client is. And this shows up in many ways, but generally it is that you are being too vague and you are casting too wide of a net around who you believe that your ideal client is. For example, this often shows up when a consultant says that I work with small businesses, or I provide marketing services to companies, or I work with, they might even say something like nonprofits. And while you might think that that is being specific enough, each one of those examples is actually very broad, and it makes it very challenging for you to do everything else inside of your business from a marketing, a positioning perspective, even having conversations, developing materials, that you won't see the results that you desire because you're being too broad. So for example, the more specific that you can be about either the industry that you are working in, or be very clear about the job title of the dream ideal client and the size of the company. And the main reason for this, we'll talk about in a moment, really comes down to your messaging. If you say that you work with small businesses, well, some businesses will have the same challenges, but depending on their industry, they may have very different types of challenges. The other thing to consider is that if you're saying that you work with small businesses, but let's say you put that message in front of an accounting firm that is a small business, and then another consultant shows up and they say that they work with accounting firms, or they work with small accounting firms or boutique accounting firms, right? Who is that going to connect with? The accounting firm, who would they likely resonate more with? Well, of course, it won't be the general consultant that just says I work with small businesses. It's going to be the consultant that is very clear about working with boutique or small accounting firms. So the other part of this is that so that's the industry example. But if we talk about, for example, the job title and the size of the company, right? Companies of different sizes have different problems. So if you say that you work with, for example, chief marketing officers, CMOs, well, a CMO, right? That might be enough for you to say that. But again, a CMO of a mid-sized company or even a small company, right? Depending on how you classify that, but let's just say a company that has 25 employees, they likely don't have a CMO, but in some cases titles are thrown around these days. So you might find that you're bringing people up in your searches on LinkedIn Sales Navigator or other lists, or you're going to events and conferences. But the problems that, for example, a small or small to mid-sized CMO has are very different than the problems of a large enterprise, right? A Fortune 500, Fortune 100, right? The budgets are different, the considerations are different, the stakeholders, the shareholders. There's a lot of factors, right, that play into it. So the clearer that you are about who your ideal client actually is, not only does it make it easier for you to attract those people, and I should say to find those people, and then have the marketing that will start to work to attract them, but you get to find them. And then when you found them, you can actually show up where they are, right? So it makes it easier to identify, well, what conferences do they go to that I could go to as well and meet these people? Or what publications do they read so I can maybe write an article for that publication? It also helps you to figure out, what to avoid. But again, it'll help you to figure out what to say to these people that will really resonate with them. So number one, right, casting too wide of a net, not being very clear about who your ideal client is. Now that brings us to, no surprise, number 2, which I already mentioned, messaging. And very similar to casting too wide of a net with who your ideal client is, right? You want to be very specific with your messaging. If you aren't clear about who your ideal client is, it's very hard to develop a message that will get the attention and interest of your ideal client. So back to what we just talked about, if you say that you work with small businesses, or you say that you work with, just manufacturers or whatever it might be, but if it's not clear, if it's not really speaking to your ideal client, then you're not going to see the kind of results that you want from your marketing. So let me illustrate this for an example. Imagine that your ideal clients are manufacturing companies. Well, again, the challenge is that a small manufacturing company, a mid-sized manufacturing company, the challenge that maybe a certain type of manufacturing company might have, or chief marketing officer, right? All these things, your goal should be to figure out what problems do they have and what results do they care about. When you know that, now you can develop a message that gets their attention and interest. So the formula to develop a message that will resonate, that will align, that will get your ideal client to kind of perk up and almost raise their hand and say, yes, I'm interested in learning more, is 3 W's. The first W stands for who. right? Who do you work with? Who are you an expert at helping? And again, we said that could be either by industry or by job title and size, but you want to be clear so you can find these people. But then, right, so that's the who. The next part is what. And there's two components to what. There's what problems do they have and what results, right, or outcomes do they desire, do they want? And if you're not clear on who your ideal client is, it's very hard to identify what problems they actually care about. And this is why if you cast too wide of a net, you're going to say that you solve all kinds of problems and you create all kinds of results. But the way that most people interpret that is too much noise. They can't process when you say that you do A, B, C, D, E. It doesn't sound like you're an expert in anything, right? It comes across that you are a generalist, and there's a very good chance that they hear all of that and don't remember much of it. So for you, the opportunity, and for most consultants, right, the opportunity, and this is what we've observed in working with thousands of consultants at Consulting Success, and you can see many case studies and examples of people that we've worked with by going to consultingsuccess.com, click on client results, you'll see all that. But what we found is that when people aren't clear about their ideal client, when they aren't clear about the actual problems that they have, when they don't know what results they desire, then their messaging doesn't work. In fact, people often think they have a marketing problem, but they have a messaging problem. And their messaging is directly connected to their ideal client, and they often aren't clear enough about who their ideal client actually is. And so if you don't know those two things, if you don't know who your ideal client is, and if you don't know what problems they have, and if you don't understand what results they care about and desire, right, then you probably won't see great results with your marketing. However, the flip side of that is at the moment that you actually have identified those things through having conversations, and doing research and studying and so forth, but ideally it's conversations, you're actually hearing from the horse's mouth, as they might say, then you get to develop a message that really resonates and gets the attention and interest of your ideal clients. And I mentioned 3 W's. So there's 3 kind of +1. So it's first, right, who is your ideal client? What problems do they have? What results do they desire or care about? And then the additional why, I call it the bonus why, which doesn't always have to be part of your message, but it's something that you definitely want to have on your website, your LinkedIn, your marketing materials, is the why you, right? Why should they care about you? What is it that you provide? If you just say that you're a management consultant or a marketing consultant or a business consultant or a manufacturing consultant or a design or branding consultant, I mean, anybody can say that. What makes you different? What experience do you have? What clients or organizations have you worked with, right? What kind of success and achievements? Do you have some unique intellectual property? Do you have patents? I mean, really, what makes you different from the alternatives in the marketplace? All right, so the third reason that you want to consider of what might be holding you back is that you may be spending too much time building, but not getting out of the proverbial building, right? So before COVID, when it wasn't as common to just jump on a Zoom or a Teams meeting or whatever it might be, right? You would need to get out of the building, at least a lot more often. And so what I've observed many consultants do to their detriment, unfortunately, they don't realize, is they spend a lot of time on the wrong things. They're spending a lot of time behind their computer, right? They're working on plans, they're updating their website or working on their logo, right? They're thinking, they're analyzing, like all that stuff has some value, but to get clients, the most important thing is that you're having conversations. And so your time, your focus should be on asking the question of what is the most direct path for me to get in front of my ideal clients. And if that's going to an event to speak, if that's going to an event just to network, if that is, writing articles to get in front of your ideal clients, if that is reaching out to people, if it's getting referrals, right? Whatever that might be, going on podcasts, all those things, right, can help you to have conversations or to get in front of your ideal client. But you want to get out of the building and not just be building. Now, the fourth consideration is a very common one for consultants, and it is to stop teaching and start offering. Now, that might sound a little bit controversial. It might sound unconventional. It might sound like that doesn't make sense. Aren't you supposed to teach? Aren't you supposed to give value? And yes, to both those, right? If you've been in the world of consulting success, if you've listened to the Consulting Success podcast, or you've watched other videos, if you've read the Consulting Success book or any other books that we published, you'll know that we are very big believers in giving value and giving a lot of it. But the challenge, the problem, the mistake that a lot of consultants make is they just keep teaching and they never make an offer. They don't talk directly about what they do, what they can do, how they can help that person. I was actually just speaking with one of our clients the other day in our Clarity Coaching program, and this is a very smart person, a brilliant person that really understands technology and their area. And they said, I'm having a lot of conversations, but I'm not closing business. I'm not winning deals. What's going on? And I asked a few questions, and I said, well, it sounds to me like you need to stop teaching and start offering. And I explained to him that what that means is that you still provide value. You still look for ways to to help the people that you're speaking with. It doesn't mean that you're just trying to sell and push and persuade, right? That's not what I'm talking about. You add value, ask questions. But when it's clear to you that you can help this person and you're confident that you can create value for them, right? Solve their problems, and you feel like you've added already some value, then you want to transition into letting them know that, hey, if you'd like, I could help you with this. Or I've helped others to do this kind of thing. Would that be beneficial for you? Or would you like to schedule some time to talk about that? You describe what you can do. You lead them to the very clear, call it even an invitation. You are inviting them to learn more about what you have to offer. Because if you don't start to talk about what you can do, about what your capabilities are, how you have a solution to that problem, you're almost making the buyer, right? Making that prospective client do the hard work. And of course, some people will stop you mid-sentence when you're explaining something and just say, hey, you know what, how can you help me? Some people will do that, but a lot of people won't. A lot of people just keep asking questions and listening and learning, and you want to get to that quickly and as quickly as possible and let them know that, hey, if you'd like, I'm happy to share with you how I've helped others to solve this kind of a challenge. And that now leads to a more productive conversation, or a conversation that moves you closer to actually discussing what an engagement might look like. So those are the 4 considerations to really look at. And this applies regardless of what stage your business is in. You might be earlier stage, you might be, kind of mid-stage, or you might even be quite established. But if you're feeling like you're not yet generating the level of pipeline and growth and finding clients and winning clients, then think about each of these 4 across your business and look for opportunities to adjust or to improve. And of course, as always, if you'd like to get some help, if you'd like to have a conversation about your specific situation, how we can help you to go from where you are to get to that next level, to kind of overcome some of these obstacles, to grow your business more consistently and strategically, reach out, click the link below this video and get in touch with us at Consulting Success. We'd be happy to have a conversation with you. And of course, subscribe, hit that bell button, get notified. We're putting out a lot more content on YouTube. And if you're enjoying this content, please let me know. Give a little like, give a comment, share it, head over to LinkedIn as well, connect with me there. Let me know that you're following along this YouTube journey together. I always appreciate getting that feedback.